Have you ever wanted to do magic in a cemetery, but you weren't sure of how to do it without messing up? Today I'm going to give you the do's and the don't, how to choose a grave, how to leave offerings, and how to keep spirits without following you home. If this is something that interests you, stick around because it's coming up right now. Witches, blessed be. This is White Raven over here. Today is Monday, so happy Magic Monday to all of you guys. I'm so happy to be here with you today and to share this information with you. I have a few of you guys emailing me requesting a video on how to work in the cemetery, how to leave magic remnants in the cemetery, and all that stuff. So I'm going to get into it and hopefully I will address and answer most of your questions. If you have any following questions, please make sure to leave me a comment down below. So perhaps the question that you have, many other people have, and answering you will be answering everybody else. So let's keep the dialogue in the comments down below. Okay. I want to say thank you very much to everybody that has been visiting my website, whiteravenandwitcheslair.com. The other day, somebody asked me how to get my website, and I was a little bit confused because I always say the name of my website in all of my videos. Plus, I always leave a QR code somewhere in the screen for you guys to use your phone and go directly to my website. So my website is whiteravenandwitcheslair.com. Another thing that I want to say, which is I do not work for people. If you want to write me an email to request for me to do magic for you, I do not work for people. The only way that I help you guys is through my videos, and trust me when I tell you there is so much information here. I promise you're going to find what you need. In any case, thank you so much to everybody that has been supporting my business. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Next Monday, which is I'm going to be with my family, I'm not going to be able to be here with you. So I'll be absent next Monday, just in case you don't see me and you're wondering where White Raven is. So let's talk about cemeteries, graveyards, how to do magic, how to keep spirits away, and let's talk about the gatekeepers of the cemetery. So let's start with what is the difference between a cemetery and a graveyard. Cemeteries and graveyards aren't the same, witches. A graveyard is going to be attached to a church. Usually graveyards are consecrated and are blessed by the church. Spirits there feel more restrained, and a cemetery is a whole different kind of worms. It's separate land. It's bigger, more open. It feels like the city of the dead. There's more variety. There's more energy, and sometimes it could feel a lot wilder. Everything that I'm going to share in here today is going to work with both the cemetery or the graveyard. But I will say cemetery because that's where most witches practice. Adding to that, I want to tell you what is the difference between cemetery dirt and graveyard dirt. Graveyard dirt is like church dirt. It's good to use when you are doing magic on blessing and protection. It's good for shielding, cleansing work, and protective charms. It's good for justice and rest. For strong petitions needing the assistance of divine justice. Court cases, graveyard dirt. Ancestral blessings and laying things down to rest. It's good for peaceful endings. You want to stop gossip? You want to use graveyard dirt. It's good for ending feuds and to quiet restless energy. For example, you can sprinkle a little pinch of graveyard dirt with salt inside a bottle to keep your home protected. Now let's talk about cemetery dirt. Cemetery dirt, which is going to be good for everything. All the way from very positive magic to very baneful magic. Because in a cemetery, everything is there. The good, the bad, and the in-between. Because the cemetery is larger, more varied, and is not consecrated as a graveyard, the dirt is good for baneful magic. Perfect for crossings, hexes, and for spells in which you want to tie your enemy to the dead. It's good to work with spirit allies, like for necromancy, ancestor petitions, and spirit communication. It is fantastic for power spells because it carries the energy of many different types of spirits. It can fuel your magical workings with strength, with control, with domination. For example, you can use a pinch of cemetery dirt, a jar with needles, and a petition to bind and weaken an enemy. How simple is that little spell? So to recap, graveyard dirt equals church blessed, peaceful, protective, and settling. Now, cemetery dirt equals raw, varied, powerful, baneful, spirit driven. All right, witches, now we're entering the cemetery. Permission at the gate. So here's the thing. When you walk into a cemetery, you're not just strolling into a park. You're entering someone else's house. And in this case, it's a house full of spirits. So before you even set a foot inside, you are going to stop at the gate. Don't rush. Pause. Feel the air and the energy. That is going to be your first sign that you are crossing sacred ground. And I know, witches, if you're like me, that you immediately feel the change in the energy, right? It feels different. Ooh, I even get goosebumps talking to you about this. You're going to knock 3 times at the gate. And if there's no gate, you're going to stomp 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Speak your full name and say, why are you here? Something simple, which is something like, this is White Raven. I come with respect. I come with an offering and I come to work with the dead. After that, which is you are going to pay the keeper. Every cemetery, witches, has a keeper, a guardian, a protector. Whether you call them the first grave in the cemetery, or el celador, or ya, varón Samedi, or San Elias, that spirit is the doorman. That spirit is the guardian. The one that decides if you are welcome or not. So very important that you pay your toll, witches. You do not ever walk empty-handed into a cemetery. Even if it's just 3 coins, a splash of a rum, a little candle, tobacco, flowers, you must make the exchange. It is your toll for entry, your handshake with the dead. Without that, your work may backfire or even worse. You will find the spirits working against you instead of with you. So let's talk right now about who keeps the gate and what do they like. There's going to be different traditions out there. I'm only going to talk about the ones that are more familiar to me. Perhaps you follow other traditions. And if you do, and if you have different protocols than the ones that I'm sharing here, especially offerings to the guardian of the cemetery, the keeper of the cemetery, please make sure to drop them down in a comment because I will love to know. So there's more traditions, but these are the ones that are more familiar to me, which are the ones that I'm going to talk about. And hoodoo and southern conjure, the cemetery keeper is often understood as the first grave near the gate of the cemetery. A restless watcher spirits who oversees the comings and goings. Many workers will pay these spirits at the gate 3 coins, whiskey, or tobacco before doing any work inside. If you don't, you risk angering the dead and the work working against you. In New Orleans voodoo, the most famous cemetery keeper is Varón Samedi, one of the Gede, the death loa. He's a flamboyant and powerful gatekeeper, which is, I'm pretty sure many of you know who Varón Samedi is. He keeps the gate between the dead and the living. His offerings include rum, hot peppers, tobacco, and black coffee. You must salute him before even asking permission to do any type of baneful work or spirit contact inside the cemetery. In Santeria, the dead is always honored as a gun, and you do not approach a cemetery casually, witches. Oya, which is the orisha of winds and storm, is also the guardian of the cemetery gates. You ask Oya for permission before entering the cemetery, and her offerings are going to be 9 copper coins, eggplants, wine, purple flowers. And witches, it doesn't have to be all of this at the same time. It's not that you have to get to the cemetery with a bag filled with groceries that you purchase for these gatekeepers. What's important is that you give, even if it's just one offering, that you give it with sincerity and with your heart. In Espiritismo, the celador, the watchman of the cemetery. And you will give him 3 coins before entering the cemetery. You can also give him a glass of water, white candles, or white flowers. In some other tradition in Spanish brujeria, the cemetery is guarded by the animas, the collective souls of the dead, which we have talked about, and I have shared some spells in here using the help of the animas. They're a force not to play with, witches. Many other witches call upon el anima sola, the lonely spirit, a powerful, dangerous intermediary. Other people may seek the permission of the person most recently buried, believed to be the fresh gatekeeper. Coins and red flowers are sometimes given as offerings. Now, some of us, like I'm including myself here, in Spanish brujeria, we call upon San Elias, el varón del cementerio. He's just not a saint. He is a watchman of the cemetery gates. To him, I give coins, a candle, a prayer, because without his permission, any type of work that I do with the dead is just not going to flow. He protects me, but he also makes sure that the spirits know that I came with respect. So since San Elias is who I follow, I want to take the time to explain who he is to you. He's often seen as a syncretic figure, part saint, part cemetery guardian spirit. Part varón-like presence similar to varón samedi. In Hispanic brujeria, he acts as the celador of the cementerio, the warden, the keeper of the cemetery. Some traditions link him to San Elias, the biblical prophet carried away into heaven in a fiery chariot, giving him both heavenly authority and fiery cleansing power. Others simply see him as el varón del cementerio, the one who watches who comes in and out, and that must be respected before any type of workings with the dead. And so what is his role in magic? You ask him permission before entering the cemetery. He opens the way between you and the spirits of the dead. But he also makes sure that no evil or malicious spirit follows you home. He's both a gatekeeper and a protector. He ensures that your offering reaches the right spirit and that your spellware remains clean. What are his offerings? 1 or 3 coins, a black or a purple candle, tobacco or rum, flowers, usually white. Another thing, some people like to pray psalms to him, particularly Psalm number 23 and Psalm 90. So why he matters. And again, I'm taking the time to explain him to you because this is who I use. So I recommend that you study him and you research him. He matters because he's a mediator, which is a way to approach the vastness of the cemetery with one trusted guardian. Witches that don't pay him or that ignore his role in the cemetery often experience disturbances like nightmares, restlessness, and their work backfiring. And I'm going to make a parenthesis here because I want to reiterate this information. The reality is that when you do not work with the guardians of the cemetery, whichever they are, you will feel the backfire. I have been irresponsible enough, and this is how I learn, not to play ever again with this type of magic because I have been irresponsible. And let me tell you that the dead, when they're mad at you, they are very relentless to make sure that you know it. They'll chase you and they'll drive you crazy until you make wrongs right. I've been there. I have experienced this in my own flesh. So I tell you that the most simple way for you to avoid any kind of issues is to pay respect to the cemetery keeper. Once inside, respect. Which is a cemetery is not just dirt and stones. It's a place of rest, of memory, of sacred silence. Every step you take is over someone else's story. The people that was here before you. Every breeze carries whispers of the past. When you walk inside, you are no longer in the land of the living. You are a guest among the dead. So move with reverence. Do not be stepping on graves. Don't chatter and laugh like you are strolling in a park. Keep your head clear and your heart steady. Speak your intentions softly, because even your whispers are heard. The dead listen, they watch, and they know why you have come. If you carry respect, they'll meet you with respect. But if you come carelessly, they will remind you that this is their house, not yours. So choosing a grave when you know the spirit. If I'm working with a specific spirit, which is I will just walk into this grave. Maybe a soldier, I do that a lot, a healer, or even a family ancestor. I introduce myself, I explain my purpose, and I ask for permission. I place offerings directly on the tomb. Coins, flowers, and this is different type of offerings, okay? This is going to be offerings for the dead that I'm working with. So I'm going to put these offerings in the specific tomb. So it's either coins, it's going to be either flowers, tobacco. If you take dirt from a specific tomb, make sure that you leave a payment, because that payment, which is going to balance the exchange. If you take, you also leave. So what happens and how do you choose a grave when you enter a cemetery in which you do not know anybody? For example, all the people that I know for a fact are buried in Puerto Rico. They're not buried here. So it has taken me time and a lot of visit to the same cemetery to start meeting the people that is buried in the specific cemetery that I go to. But let's say you walk into a cemetery, you're new into the zone, and you walk into a cemetery and you do not know who to work with or how to choose the tomb of the right spirit. So here's what you do, which is first, you're going to pay the keeper, correct? We already got that out of the way. We already know this. Every time you enter cemetery, you pay the keeper. Walk slowly through the graveyard, through the cemetery, and let the spirits guide you. Let your intuition pull you towards the grave. Look for signs, fresh flowers, a little birdie singing, an active spirit, like you saw like a shadow out of the corner of your eye in that particular grave. Lonely, cracked tombs. I'm going to make another parenthesis over here. I don't know if you have ever taken the time to go to a cemetery and put flowers in the tombs that nobody visits. Those tombs that look like they have been neglected for ages, which is, it is something so fulfilling, and you establish such a connection with the dead once you do that. It's like they are so thirsty for some attention and recognition. I tell you this right now and all my hairs are standing up. When you leave, you feel such empowerment. It's almost like if you have made somebody so happy. I encourage you to take the time to go to the cemetery and look for the tombs that are neglected. Take flowers, take candies, take little offerings, and I promise you that the connection that you're going to establish between you and the dead is going to be incredible. I recommend you do that. Those are tombs that you can choose to ask the spirit for help. You can also use symbolic tombs like soldiers, for example. I love to use the tombs of soldiers and the spirits of soldiers, particularly for protection. They are incredible. You can use healers if you know the person was a doctor, of course, for healing magic. And you can even use the tombs of mothers. And you know a lot the tombs that are mothers because they're always put beloved mother of so and so. So you always look for things like that. And if you feel drawn to a specific tomb, then you ask, my name is so and so. Do you want to work with me? And watch how your body reacts. There's going to be a lot of physical reactions before you feel something inside, but you're going to know. You don't even have to be a witch. If you stand in front of a tomb and you ask that question, you're going to know. So what are bad tombs signs? Number 1, you're going to feel cold suddenly. Number 2, you're going to feel nausea. Number 3, chest tightness. 4, drain and heaviness. 5, anxiety. 6, fear. 7, agitation. 8, if you hear sharp noises or the crows going crazy, which is move on. So what are good tombs signs? Warmth, goosebumps, tingling, peace, light chest, feeling embrace, soft wind, birds singing. A lot of tombs have wind chimes. They just give you such peace. That spirit in that tomb may want to work with you. And which is, if you are unsure, just don't force it. Leave your petition for the collective dead, which is a great idea as well. You leave this petition at the gate, at the base of a tree, at the edge of the cemetery. I am a very big fan, and most of the time, more than not, I leave my things at the cemetery ground rather than in a specific tomb. So now let's talk about disposal and the protocol when disposing things in the cemetery. Quick rules before we start, which is always check your local rules and laws. Please, which is no hazardous material, nothing toxic, sharp, flammable, and of course nothing illegal, nothing dangerous. And be respectful. If you will be ashamed of a family seeing this, whatever it is that you're going to leave, don't leave it. And please keep offerings clean and biodegradable. So when do we leave things in a grave? The first thing is that you have permission of the spirit. Another reason, you are working specifically with that ancestor. If the item is small, biodegradable, and clean. If you want that energy attached to the grave. Like for example, if you need to bind an evil aggressor, a violent husband to this tomb, and you need the dead to assist you. I've done that. And how do you do that? First, you're going to ask permission, which is you stand in front of the grave and you introduce yourself, explain your intentions, and give an offering. And when you leave, make sure that you leave your payment, especially if you take anything, including dirt. Say thanks, step away, and exit respectfully. Throw in a pinch of salt over your shoulder, among many other things that I will explain to you soon. Now, this takes me to something that is just equally important. When you should not leave anything on a grave. If the family of the deceased is actively grieving and taking care of the grave, don't do that. If you're disposing of anything toxic, sharp, dirty, nasty, dangerous, if you haven't asked the spirit, or if you do not know the spirit, you have no connection, you just walk in the cemetery, sow a tomb, and that's where you're gonna leave things without asking, without knowing, without any type of preparation. Don't do that. I like to leave things in the cemetery grounds. Sometimes some cemeteries are very big and there's spots in these cemeteries where nobody walks and nobody sees. So I like to choose those type of spots to leave some of my magical workings. Or if I'm going to do any digging, which is not easy, trust me, I know this. So when are good times for you to leave things in the cemetery premises? Well, if you're leaving an offering, it's great to leave it anywhere in the cemetery. And if you have something that you need to neutralize, any type of magic that you need to end and neutralize, you can leave it at the cemetery grounds to be neutralized. Another thing that you may want to leave in the cemetery grounds is any type of burials. Like if you have any voodoo dolls, any actually little coffins, or anybody that you want to bury, that's where you want to do it. Put it somewhere in the cemetery grounds and try to choose a hidden spot, which is, there's many in the cemeteries. So that's what I advise. Good places are going to be under the tree, under shrubs and bushes. You can leave things by the gate of the cemetery, by corners of the cemetery, by the fence of the cemetery, or by the exit of the cemetery. There's an entrance. Sometimes cemeteries have entrance and exit. So you have those two spots where you can leave your things. Now, something that I want to add and I want to touch is cemetery trash cans. Should you leave your magical workings in cemetery trash cans? I say yes. Now, that is not the popular opinion, okay? A lot of people say no. I say yes, especially if the trash is going to stay there at least 3 days. Okay, to have the dead pick up and take it, right? And then the trash will take the rest away. There are some other things that should tell you not to leave specific items in a cemetery. They are things that, how we say in Spanish, se cae de la mata. It's so obvious that it hits you in the face. Anything that has biohazard stuff, like feces. There's a lot of spells that have a lot of feces. If you're going to leave that in a cemetery, make sure you're not going to leave that in the path where everybody's walking. Make sure that you leave this very far away from everybody. Any items that contain chemicals that are toxic, you don't want to leave that in a cemetery. Anything that is dangerous, witches, don't leave that in the cemetery. Anything that is large or permanent, like you're not going to go into the cemetery and leave a ginormous rock or statue somewhere. Don't do that. That's just crazy. Again, if the family is grieving for somebody, if it's fresh tomb, don't leave anything in there, witches. Or if there's things, which are going to be many, that are forbidden in the cemetery. I'm going to leave these all up to you, witches. I'm just giving you here some rules of thumbs. At the end of the day, you choose how to do your own magic, but there's some things we need to be decent. Even though sometimes we're doing baneful magic, that doesn't mean we're bad people. That means we're punishing evildoers, right? So I'll use common sense when working in the cemetery, because if you disrespect the cemetery, in turn, you're disrespecting the dead. So I don't know how well things are going to work for you. Be mindful. Okay, so we finished our workings. We bury whatever it is that we needed to bury. We gave the offerings to the dead that we wanted to give. So what do? We need to leave now the cemetery. There's also a way for you to exit the cemetery, which is, so pay attention. The way you leave is going to be as important as the way you enter. So don't leave like you're just leaving the supermarket. You must close that door. First, you're going to thank the keeper who let you in. Say it out loud and mean it. Cut any cords, and you do this by just brushing yourself. All the cords are out. Sprinkle salt behind you. And you can also, and this is one of the most popular methods and something that I do, use spray. Florida water. You're walking out. Keep your eyes forward. You don't need to look back. And finally, you must leave your second payment in your way out. A coin, a cigarette, a little bit of alcohol, and you can chant something like, thank you for your time, thank you for your help, I leave you in peace. That final act, which is going to seal your visit into the cemetery. It lets the dead know that your work is finished and that you are leaving them to rest. So do you always need to leave 2 offerings, once when you enter and then another one when you leave? Which is, the answer is yes. And it's not that difficult. You're just going to have a little baggie and you separate 2 little baggies. That's usually what I do. One's for entering and one's for leaving. Because remember, when you enter that first offering, that is your toll. And then the last one is your exit toll. That's going to take me to the last thing, because I know you probably have this question in the back of your head. White Raven, how do I keep spirits from following me? Number 1, pay the keeper. That's the most important thing that you need to do. Pay the keeper, especially on your way out. Cut cords by brushing your body. Sprinkle salt of cascarilla over your shoulders. Spray with Florida water. Clap. I'm leaving. Don't follow me. Or you can ring a bell. But if you feel like you're going to look crazy ringing a bell, then you can clap on your way out. And don't look back, witches. Just don't look back. When you get home, make sure to take your cemetery clothes and wash it. The next thing that I recommend is for you to take a bath with salt, Florida water, hyssop, or rue to cleanse and be at peace. Now, I'm going to add something, because sometimes we go to the cemetery and we are not going to be doing magic, but we are going to go visit our deceased, our dead. If you want to go visit your abuelita, your mom, your dad, a family member, then do we have to do all this protocol all over again? And the answer is no, witches. The act of taking flowers to a loved one, that act is already sacred. Unless you feel called to leave an offering to the gatekeeper, you don't have to. Know when you go with your heart and with your love to visit your deceased. Which is when you walk with respect, when you pay with sincerity, and when you leave clean, the dead walks with you. They carry your petition, they sharpen your spells, and they guard your path. Don't fear these places. Honor them, because every witch who knows how to move among the dead carries an army of unseen allies within them. And that, my beautiful witches, that is power. And And that's it, which is, if you like the content of this video, please remember to subscribe to this channel. I would love to have you in my coven. Subscribe, like, and share. And please do not leave without leaving a comment down below. I need your help. Even if it's just a heart, I need your help to move. You need to move me along the world of YouTube. If you have any questions, please visit my website, whiteravenandwitcheslair.com. You can reach out to me in there in case you have any questions. Please remember that I do not work for people, which is, in this world we must dig in and which must learn. I invite for you to check and see which one of these gatekeepers of the cemetery to reach out to you. Which ones resonates with you? And remember that you can honor that gatekeeper every time you're doing any workings in the cemetery. Get to know the dead. They're there to assist you and help you. Do not be afraid. The more you learn, the more power you will acquire, the more confidence you will acquire. And above all that, which is with all that information that you're going to gather, you must learn how to discern. That's the hardest part. But above all, which is, you must stay so very wicked. Mwah. See you soon. Bye.